You reread the conversation, not because you missed something. You didn't miss anything. You read it 3 times already. You know exactly what was said. But you went back anyway, scrolled up to the part where it was still normal, where the replies were fast, where it still felt like something, and you just stayed there for a second. In the part that used to exist, then you put the phone down, picked it up again, put it down. Nobody saw that. Nobody knows you did that tonight. And the strange part, the part that actually unsettles you, if you're honest, is that you're not even sure what you were looking for. Proof that it was real? Proof that you didn't imagine the closeness? Proof that you're not the problem? You don't know. You just know that you went back and that the going back felt embarrassing even when you were alone. That feeling right there, that specific, quiet, slightly ashamed of yourself feeling at whatever time it is right now, that's what I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk to you. Not to a crowd, not to a comment section, not to a general someone out there who might relate. Just you, sitting wherever you are. The house probably quiet, everyone else probably asleep. And you're in that strange in-between place where you're not ready to sleep, but you're not really present either. You're just here. And I think there's a reason you're here. Not a dramatic reason, not some big spiritual signal, just, I think something in you needed to sit with this tonight instead of burying it again. So let's sit with it. When was the last time you were genuinely excited to hear from someone and then you didn't? Not a one-time thing, not a bad week they were having. I mean a pattern, a slow fade, the replies getting shorter, the energy getting thinner, the conversation starting to feel like something you were maintaining alone. You noticed it before you admitted it. That's always how it goes. You noticed it, and then you immediately came up with reasons why it wasn't what it looked like. They're busy. Life gets heavy. People go through things. You gave every explanation except the honest one, which was, this doesn't feel equal anymore. And you didn't say that out loud, because saying it out loud makes it real. And making it real means you have to decide what to do with it. And deciding what to do with it is terrifying when the person is someone you don't want to lose. So you just kept showing up, kept initiating, kept being the one who checked in, followed up, made the effort, carried the weight of keeping it alive. Be honest, you were exhausted before you even admitted there was a problem. And here's what I find fascinating about the human heart, and I mean this genuinely, not as a lecture point. We will work so hard to keep something that stopped working, not because we don't see it, but because the alternative is grief. And grief is expensive. So we keep the thing alive on life support and tell ourselves it's fine. Tell ourselves we're being patient. Tell ourselves this is just a season. But somewhere underneath that patience, there's a question you haven't let yourself finish asking. What if I stopped? What if I just stopped reaching, stopped initiating, stopped being the one who cares more? Would anything be left? You already know the answer. That's why you haven't asked it out loud. Now I want to say something here, and I need you to stay with me because it might land wrong at first. The pain of that, the specific pain of realizing you've been carrying something alone that was supposed to be shared, that pain is not punishment. I know it feels like it. I know there's a part of you that's running an audit right now, going back through everything, looking for the moment you said the wrong thing, showed too much, asked too much, were too much or not enough. You're trying to find the variable, the thing you could fix. And I want to be honest with you, that audit isn't really about growth. You tell yourself it is, but it's not. It's about control. If you can find the thing you did wrong, then you can fix it. And if you can fix it, then you can make them stay. And if you can make them stay, then this doesn't have to be a loss. But some things are losses. And no version of you, no better worded message, no more perfectly timed response, no shinier, calmer, more impressive version of yourself would have changed what Allah did not write to stay. That's not a weakness in you. That is qadr. And I know that word gets used sometimes as a shortcut, like a way to skip the grief. It's qadr, move on. That's not what I mean. I mean qadr as a mercy, as a structure underneath everything that says nothing that left you was supposed to anchor you. Subhanallah. Think about that. If every person who faded had stayed, where would you be right now? Still pouring into something that was taking without filling. Still measuring your worth by a response rate. Still waiting at a door that was never going to fully open. Allah knew what that attachment was doing to you before you did. And quietly, without drama, without a big obvious sign, He began to loosen it. Not because He's cruel, because He's precise. There's an ayah I keep coming back to. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. And it may be that you hate a thing and it is good for you. Not good for you in some distant theoretical 10 years from now way. Good for you in this exact uncomfortable chapter you're in right now. The fading of that closeness, the silence from someone who used to make you feel seen, the slow realization that you were investing into something that wasn't investing back. That specific loss is somehow good for you. Not because the pain isn't real, the pain is real, but because of what the pain is making space for. And I want to talk about that, because I think we skip this part. When something is removed from your life, when someone fades or pulls back or changes on you, there's an immediate vacuum, and we hate vacuums. We rush to fill them. New distraction, new conversation, new thing to pour ourselves into. But what if you didn't rush? What if you just stayed in the space for a little while? Because that's where something interesting happens. In the quiet after a loss, when there's no one to perform for, no one to maintain, no relationship to manage, you start to hear yourself again. Not the you that was adjusted to fit around someone else. Not the you that learned to show up in the way that kept a particular person comfortable. Just you. And sometimes that's disorienting, because you've been oriented around them for so long that you forgot what your own direction feels like. Be honest with me. There were things you liked before this person became important to you that you kind of quietly set aside. Thoughts you had that you stopped sharing because they didn't land well with them. Parts of yourself you dimmed down because it was easier. You know what I'm talking about. That's not their fault necessarily. That's just what happens when we make someone else's approval our navigation system. We start drifting toward what keeps them close instead of what keeps us real. And the removal of them, as painful as it is, sometimes that's the thing that gives you your direction back. Let me shift here, because I think there's a layer to this that needs to be said. It's not just about the people. It's about what you were actually looking for in them. Because if I'm honest, and I think you know this already, it was never just about the friendship or the relationship or the connection. It was about what they represented, what they confirmed, that you're worth showing up for, that you're seen, that you matter to someone in a specific, personal, chosen way. And there's nothing wrong with wanting that. That's human, that's fitrah. Allah built that need into us. But when we route that need through specific people, when we make one human being or a small handful of them responsible for answering the question of whether we are enough, we are putting a weight on them that they were never built to carry. And they'll drop it, not because they're bad, just because they're human. Only one answer to that question doesn't drop. And He has been trying to get your attention for a while now. Not loudly, not dramatically, through this, through the silence, through the unanswered message, through the friendship that cooled, through the person who changed on you without explanation. Every one of those moments was a quiet redirect. Come here, I'm here, stop looking there. And I know that can sound dismissive of the real pain, like we're just replacing one thing with another and calling it spirituality. But it's not like that. Because what Allah offers, it's not a substitute for human connection. He made us for each other. Relationships are part of deen, part of how we get through this life. But there's a difference between being connected to people and being dependent on people for your sense of self. One is healthy, one is a slow kind of erosion. And I think some part of you knows you crossed that line with someone, maybe more than one someone. And the strange mercy is that they didn't hold that weight gracefully enough to keep you in it forever. Subhanallah, sometimes the people who couldn't love you the way you needed, they're the ones who accidentally returned you to the one who can. I want to talk about dua for a second. Not the formal list, not the Ramadan dua book. I want to talk about the dua you make when nobody's watching, when it's late and you're not performing piety for anyone, not even yourself. That half-formed, barely articulate, I don't even know what I'm asking, reaching toward Allah. That dua, because I think that's actually the most honest prayer a person can make. When you're too tired to be impressive even in your worship, when you can't find the right Arabic, when you just sort of turn your face toward Allah and say nothing coherent, just some vague, desperate sense of needing Him to be near, that is not a weak prayer. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told us that Allah says, I am as my servant thinks of me, and I am with him when he calls upon me. when He calls upon me, not when He calls upon me perfectly, not when He's put together, not when He's earned it by being consistent in salah and good in His character, and not someone who just scrolled back through an old conversation at midnight hoping to feel something. When He calls, you call. He's there, running actually. The hadith says running. If you walk toward Him, He runs towards you. So whatever walking you've done tonight, however small, however confused, He's already closing the distance. I want to read you something. Surah Ad-Duha. And I want you to hear the context before the words. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was in a period where the revelation had stopped coming, just stopped for a stretch of time. No Jibreel, no verses, just silence. And the people around him were mocking him, saying his Lord had abandoned him, that it was over. And in that specific silence, after that specific hurt, with that specific accusation still in the air, Allah revealed, وَالدُّحَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. By the morning light, by the night when it grows still, your Lord has not abandoned you, nor has He become displeased with you. Subhanallah. Think about what that means. The silence was not abandonment. The silence was not displeasure. The silence was just a silence. And on the other side of it, the connection resumed, deeper, if anything, more confirmed than it was before. Your silence right now, the one you're sitting in tonight, the one where the people went quiet and you started to wonder if something was wrong with you, it's not abandonment either. Your Lord has not abandoned you, nor is He displeased. He's just in the silence with you. And what comes after it will mean more because of how long you stayed in it without giving up. There's one more thing I want to say. And this one I want you to sit with. You have been so focused on what left that you haven't fully appreciated what stayed. Not people necessarily, but things. Your ability to feel this deeply. Your capacity to still want closeness even after it hurts you. The fact that you're still asking questions instead of going numb. The fact that you're here tonight, still in conversation with something bigger than you, even if you can't fully articulate what, that didn't leave. Some people get hurt like this and they close. Fully close. No more vulnerability, no more reaching, no more allowing themselves to be moved. You haven't closed. That is not a small thing. That is actually a gift. And I think Allah preserved that in you because He has something that requires it. Some form of connection, some relationship, some version of love that actually fills you the right way, it requires that you didn't close. So the wound stayed open, not as a punishment, but so that the right thing could actually get in when it arrives. Maybe you're not broken. Maybe this isn't you falling apart. Maybe this is just the part of the story that looks like nothing is happening, but everything is being rearranged. The part where you stop pouring yourself into places that drain you, not because you decided to, but because you're just too tired to keep it up. The part where the silence from people starts to feel less like rejection and more like direction. The part where you realize slowly, without fanfare, without a moment you can point to, that you've started talking to Allah more, not more formally, not more impressively, just more honestly, just more often, just more like He's actually there. Because He was always there. He was there in every conversation you had with that person. He was there when it was good and close and easy. He was there when it started to cool. He was there when you scrolled back through it tonight. He was there. Al-Basir, the one who sees. He saw all of it. The version of you that was trying too hard. The version that was shrinking to fit. The version that kept showing up even when it wasn't being met. He saw the sacrifice that nobody acknowledged. He saw the patience that nobody noticed. He saw what you were worth when no one was telling you. And He still sees you right now in this exact state, in this exact mess, in this not quite prayed enough, not quite healed, still occasionally checking the phone version of you, saying, fully, already. So tonight, before you sleep, you don't have to make a big dua. You don't have to have a breakthrough moment. You don't have to feel something dramatic. Just turn. However you turn, and say even quietly, even just in your thoughts, Ya Allah, I don't fully understand what you're doing, but I don't want to keep looking for you in people who can't hold that. If you're moving something in me right now, don't stop. Just that. And then let yourself rest. Because here's what I know. Allah does not waste the waiting. He does not waste the grief of it, the confusion of it, the embarrassing at midnight even when alone of it. Not one moment of it is wasted. He is the best of planners, not the best of explainers, not the best of comforters, though He is. The best of planners, which means there is a plan, which means this silence you're in isn't a gap in the plan. It is the plan, and what comes after it, you're not ready to imagine yet. But you will be. Insha'Allah, you will be